All right, so we're about 6.5 to 7 miles southwest of Las Marietas, those islands just in Bahia Banderas. We're still in that big bay, but we're just coming outside of it. You can see the rest of the coast over there. And the wind is not very strong. It's about like 8 knots, 9 knots. I don't have a folding prop on that boat, and I don't have a code 0, so it's not very well rigged for those kinds of light conditions right now. A folding prop would help already a lot. Nevertheless, I'm just gonna set sail, and if I have to, I'm willing to just what they call motor sail, where I'm just gonna keep pushing with the engine, and it creates an apparent wind in the sail. But overall, I save fuel in doing so. So it's a sailboat. We'll be sailing it. It's not perfect conditions, but sometimes you have to make do with what you got. And it's always better to have the sails out anyway. It stabilizes the boat. So I'm just going to go to my sail handling station, lower the revs a little bit on the engine, get downwind a little, and we'll just unfurl those sails. All right, so we're just about to unfurl the sail. I'm going to start with the mainsail. I hear a lot of people talking about like in-mast furling systems, and they're sort of leery about it. I'm sitting at 19,000 miles plus on this rig. I bought it new, the sails were brand new, the rig was brand new, and up to now it's worked perfectly for me. So I just want to show you how I do it, because I feel after 19,000 miles of sailing this without having any sort of incident, I kind of probably have a technique that works well. So starting now, so I have, this is my main out hole. This would be my port side main sheet. I have my starboard side main sheets here. That's my downhole right there, and this is the rolling mechanism. Like this, an infinity loop that goes to my furler and allows me to just furl the sail in. So what I try to do is I try to always keep tension and always have like one rope working against the other one in order to make the sail unfurl properly. So I'm going to start. The wind is coming from starboard right now. I'm going to start by just giving it a little bit of slack on the starboard sheet, just so that the boom heads this way, so I don't have too much tension on the sail when it comes out. Second step, I'm just gonna undo the clutches of my furling system and just give it a little bit of slack. Not too much there, because if not, it's gonna go untangle itself inside the mast, and that's exactly what you don't want. Second, third step now, I'm just gonna pull on that out hole and pull the sail out. Now, if I left the clutches open right there, the more the sail comes out, the more the wind pushes on it. I can actually get a shot of that. You can see the sail wants to come out at this point because the wind pushes it out. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more mechanically with the rope, with the infinity loop of the output, the rigging system, and then I'm going to go lock those clutches in, and I'm going to start pulling again on the out hole on the port side. So, like so here, to pick up that slack. So the sail is under control. It cannot come undone completely, unfurl itself. And I'm just going to go on the other side again and open the clutches on the furling system and just give it more slack. So I create some kind of a gap in the sail, like so, and I gently, under control, pull her out with the out hole. So I'm just gonna go and pick up that slack I created on the out hole until the sail is flat and nice and shape. There we go. Now we're gonna go again on the furling rope. Infinity loop here and just give it more slack, and the more it comes out, the easier it is to actually pull her out. You want to not do this too much, if not you're going to entangle it inside the mast, and then you end up with the kind of mess that people are talking about, which in like 5 years of sailing and 20,000 miles offshore, it's never happened to me in any kind of condition. So I can do this going upwind, I can do this going downwind, I can pull her in going downwind or upwind, it doesn't matter, as long as I keep the tension going and I don't create a mess inside the mast by making sure that I don't unfurl it too quick or furl it too quick. Either you have to sort of know the tension also, not put too much tension and not put it, it would be a big problem not putting enough also. So we're just gonna bring her out now. Now I can see, because of the stickers at the base of the mast, if you see the Elfstrom sail sticker there, I can see it's fully out. And I'm just gonna go and pull her out, pull her with a hoggle until she's properly set. Now you hear that noise, it tells me there's a lot of tension on that outhole, so we're just gonna give it a little bit of break by loosening up the sheet here on starboard side. So I'm just gonna give her a little bit of slack on the boom so that the sail comes in the wind and becomes a flag a little, so now there's a lot less tension on the outhole, and we're gonna reef her in. Okay, so now you want to film this. So the pulley has to go up, the block there has to go up to that black mark, and that's where the sail has its optimal shape when it's brand new. Of course, that sail has a lot of mileage to it, so it's a bit more round, but that doesn't matter. So there it is, the main sail's out. Now I'm just gonna pull back the starboard sheet so that she's properly sheeted and in the wind, and we're gonna go take care of the jib. There we go. All right, just pulled a little bit of throttle on the engine because now we have some sail power, and I just want to see what the wind is going to give us in terms of power and speed. We don't need as much power on the engine at this point. So I'm just going to go there and take care of the jib right now. So the jib is a lot simpler to do, but you still want to apply the same concept. So this is the jib furler, and what you want to do is you want to pull on the jib sheet, but you want to control how the jib is going to come out with that jib furler. If you would just let it go, the wind will pull it out nicely, but it just happens in a very sort of harsh fashion, and you don't want to be putting that kind of stress on your rig for no reason. So I'm just going to open up that clutch here. I'm going to find myself, actually I can probably hold it with my hands at this point. So I'm just going to hold that tight. You got to pay attention. If there's too much wind, you won't be able to hold that rope tight. I know I can do it in those conditions, and I'm just going to pull out on the jib sheet slowly and feed in the furler. The engine's going to come out like that. Slowly but surely, she's almost out, completely out at this point. I'm just going to let her go and just focus on sheeting. Now the tails are lining up at the bottom. It still needs more tension for the top to sheet in properly. So I'm just going to now she's quiet up top, and the tails are lined up all the way up. She even wants a bit less sheeting on the bottom, but we'll accept that for now. The main thing to focus on any sail is you don't want to let them flap in the wind. You don't want to have a sail that's like creating some kind of a flag action and just beating in the wind all the time, because you're going to wreck it. So you want to have your sail having like some laminar flow from the leading edge to the trailing edge, and a nice round shape so that it doesn't tear itself apart in the wind, just like that.
Proper sail trim is a constant work in progress. Things like wind shift in direction, in speed, and strength will affect your sail trim, and you'll have to redo it quite regularly, as in the following example.
It's probably hard to see at the camera, but my tail at the bottom end of the sail, on the extrados of the sail, so the red one in this case, we see the green one inside, is kind of not happy. It's not lining up perfectly with the green, and I want those two to be lining up. So I try to lessen the tension on the jib sheet here, and when I do that, then the top part of the sail opens up, and then I get some flapping action at the top part of the sail. And the reason why that is because this rope here is called a leash tensioner, and there's basically no tension on my leash tensioner right now. And what that does is that it leaves the top end of the sail to be like loose and open. So I'm just going to tension that properly, and then go back to releasing a little bit of tension on the jib sheet, and hopefully that's going to allow me to make my two tails parallel at the bottom end of the sail, keep them parallel up top, and have no flagging option on the trailing edge at the top of the sail. This is it. We're gonna do that like 10 times a day in the next 10 days. See 3.3, 3.9, 4.1, 4.4. I don't know if you can pick that up. 4.4 at the bottom corner right there. So what's cool about this is, you know, the average speed of this boat is 6 knots. It's a 6 knots boat, and right now in super calm condition we're doing 4 knots, so that's like 2/3 of the speed potential of this boat, in a complete relaxed way, in a way that doesn't put too much tension on the sail. The hull is not bashing in the wave. The ideal here would be to have like a folding prop and a nice code 0 up front, and then we'd be probably at 5.5, which is almost hull speed. Well, it's not hull speed, but it's close to the average speed of the boat, and again in very, very easy and calm condition. So that's the kind of sailing I like. I'd take a bit more speed today, but I'll take that.
This video was made possible thanks to our friends at Cloud19. If you appreciate content like this and want to be part of the Paradigme 2 adventure, support us on Patreon.